our models can reliably and responsibly do. The clash with Hegseth has highlighted concerns again over the use and regulation of artificial intelligence, particularly when it comes to lethal force. Well, with me now is technology researcher and author Stephanie Hare, who co-presents the BBC programme AI Decoded. Stephanie, great to have you with us. So, Anthropic is taking a pretty hard line, isn't it, on this issue of domestic surveillance and AI weapons, and it's been labelled woke AI by Pete Hegseth, hasn't it, and other Trump administration officials. What exactly is woke AI?
I know, I love this label because it really shows where American politics are. We've heard so many people say that technology is neutral and that AI is neutral. It's just math. It's just zeros and ones. And then we have the US administration saying we don't want woke AI, which is an implicit acknowledgement that AI is not neutral. There are all sorts of values that are being encoded into this technology, how we design it, what guardrails we put in or decide we don't need. So, do you want to be allowing mass surveillance of US citizens? Seems like it should be pretty uncontroversial. The answer to that is we don't want it. But the DoD, now known as the Department of War, wants to be able to do it lawfully. So how would that work exactly? Anthropic is saying we don't trust politics on this. We want to encode it from the get-go in the model itself, that you could just never do that because they know that politics change.
Is Amodei quite unusual in terms of these tech bosses, because he talks a lot, he talks big, doesn't he, about being more ethical?
He is different, I think, in this sense, and it's important for people to remember that the people who founded Anthropic actually had been at OpenAI, and they left because they felt that OpenAI was not living up to the safety first mission that that company had once had. So they're a sort of an outlier in claiming to put safety first.
Now, our US partners at CBS News reported that Pete Hegseth compared this to the government, for example, purchasing aircraft where the manufacturer doesn't control the military operation of that aircraft. Does he have a point when it comes to what he talks about is the lawful use of artificial intelligence technology in this particular case with Anthropic?
To make that kind of argument is to fundamentally misunderstand the power of AI. And this is kind of the debate that we've all been having now for years, right? As people have said, AI is so powerful that it poses an existential threat to humanity on the level of nuclear war or pandemics. That's why we've had all the AI safety summits. People have called for international treaties to regulate it, etc. So it's not like a fighter jet. It is something that could be taking over computers, that could be used to create bioweapons, could start a nuclear war by accident or deliberately, right? So it's really different. And that's why the people who are building it, who care about ethics, want to make sure it can't be abused.
So you're saying it's not a like-for-like comparison. No. OK. Stephanie, you're going to stay with us, but we're going to bring our panel back in.
Yeah, I want to bring Joel and Doug in on this conversation. And Joel, if we look at the bottom line here, this is about whether AI should be used, as Anthropic has said, for mass surveillance and autonomous drone. What do you make of this controversy?
Yes, Sumi, it's a frightening discussion that is unfortunately only happening apparently in the office of the Secretary of Defense. And that's just not the way it should be done. I don't understand what Secretary Hegseth means by ideological concerns. Does he mean the rule of law? Does he mean American civil liberties? Does he mean the Constitution? These are real things that matter to real Americans who pay for these systems. And so it needs to go to Congress. There needs to be a vetting. There needs to be legislation. There needs to be rules of the road. It can't just be a unilateral decision. I fear that what the Secretary is doing is trying to take control of the technology for his own purposes, his own goals, without paying attention to any of the safeguards that Americans want.
We've heard the administration in the past also say, or those who promote the use of AI in many industries, that it is needed to loosen constraints in order to compete with China. But Doug, coming to you here, what do you make of this discussion?
Look, I think it highlights the difficulty that AI is bringing into how we talk about it in public life. If we're having this conversation 6 months ago, the outlook for AI, which is coming, and it's not even coming, is here, is a much more positive one. But what we've seen over the past month, and so many issues around AI, is people are getting more and more nervous about it. Not just whether or not it's going to cost jobs, it probably will, but what ultimately are the ethical uses, how pervasive will it be, and so many other ways of how this is going to go, not just in the next 5 years, but the next 5 months, how it's going to grow and progress that quickly in ways that we may not be able to fully predict at this point.
Stephanie, listening to what Doug and Joel are saying there, I mean, this issue of oversight and how you put a group of people together who can make thoughtful decisions on the use of AI technology, is that pretty different from what we're seeing here on the face of it with the Department of Defense, the Department of War, and Pete Hegseth?
Yes, of course, because what we're seeing right now is an absolute absence of any desire in the U.S. government, Congress, etc., to regulate this technology, because the United States is scared that if it regulates this technology, countries such as China could move ahead. So what that means is it leaves it to the private companies to regulate themselves. But, Anthropic is in a very difficult position because it's a private company, it wants to go public later this year. If it loses this contract and has the other consequences that Mr. Hegseth has threatened for it to have, that's going to hit its bottom line. So you have to look at incentives. Who has an incentive to keep humanity safe?
That is a very huge question to end the programme on. Stephanie Hare, thank you so much for your thoughts on that story today.